You see Chubbles there in the background. He's hanging out. I don't think Chubbles gets enough love. My mom had a Chubbles that sat on her dresser in her room, and he's got like motion lights for his face. I don't know if you can see him. Then his little eyes pop open, and what'll happen is if you like darken, if you walk past and it gets dark, he'll go. He just like makes this little oogie boogie noise, and he's kind of cool. But Asia won't let me put a battery in him because it's creepy. It is. It's legitimately creepy. It's a toy from the '80s, but like he's creepy. You know. I'm just sitting here. I'm hanging out. My wife and I are having a conversation, and it occurs to me that 80% of the people in my life are just sad. Like they're all sad, and she says it's probably because I have this desire to help people, which is true. I like to be needed. I want to feel useful. I want to do things it's my nature. I want to be there for people because I remember what it's like to not have anybody be there. So yeah, I want to be there for people, but ultimately I think a lot of these people are just miserable because of their own choosing. Like, I won't say names because I don't want to call nobody out, but my friend Monica, she she's been my best friend forever. Like eighth grade, like that's been my girl. But she's a couple of years older than me. She's a grandma now, never been married, and it's just like at like 45 years old, the club life is not for you, you know. But there she is. She's out there on the club scene trying to get guys to buy her drinks, and it's just like I can't even tell you the last time she was in an actual relationship because it's not the point. I don't want to call my sister out, so I won't say any names. But it's my sister. She has been off and on with the same guy for like 15 years. And he just refused to marry her. And they've been on the rocks now for at least 10 years. At least. They have been not good longer than they were ever good. And he finally moved out. And she sent me this picture. She's like, hey, check out this hat. I just got this new hat. And you just see sadness all over her face. You ever seen a sad person pretend to be happy? It's a mess. It's a kind of like kind of thing where they, hey, I'm happy, and it's just this. You're just completely miserable, and I get it. Most of my friends are miserable. You know, most of my friends have made a couple of bad choices, and it's not why I pick them. I don't think it's. I'm feeling defensive because I don't want to feel as though I pick sad people to be friends with. So it's like, look at me, my life's so much better because my life is not so much better. Like, we still have our issues. Asia and I struggle from time to time, but our struggle is never with each other. And that to me is the most important. Like, I could have problems, but my wife ain't one of them. My relationship ain't one of them. Our home is not one of them. Sure, we squabble about bills from time to time, and we'll have disagreements when it comes to how we would like some things to be around the house from time to time, and that's being very generous. Like, I don't remember the last time we had an argument. Like today, she was coming home from work and she was a little snappy because it was hot outside, and I knew she was being snappy because it was hot outside. But when she came home, she was like, hey, I feel like I was being snappy with you. I'm sorry. I was like, I understand you're being snappy because it's hot outside. And that was the end of it. You know, like we don't hold grudges. We don't have the same types of problems that other people have. Like our problems are just more, all right, I can squeeze this out. I can make this happen so we can do this and still pay the bills. It'll be fine. Those are our types of problems. But that's really it, because at the end of the day, where's my little comb? At the end of the day, even Kari's good. Like if there's something we needed, Kari would step the fuck up immediately. So none of these things are problems. I seem to find myself with people who seemingly did everything right. I hate to keep ragging on my sister because she really is. She's going to get her master's degree in teaching. Like she's trying her best. She really is. But it's like on paper, she seems to have done everything right. Went to the best high school in Michigan. Went to the best college in Michigan. Moved across the country for a job and had a baby with this dude. And it was like, and then they got a place together, a house, no less. And it was like, look, everything's working out. And then I watched all that shit systematically fall apart. And maybe I don't know how teaching degrees work. Maybe I'm being naive. So I'm not a college graduate. I went to college. I got a 4.0 when I was there. I had my reasons for not going back. So maybe I'm just being a little naive or ignorant when it comes to such things. But I would want to have a degree in anything that was only valid in the city that I live in. Like, I want to be able to, I've got this degree, I can do something with this. Let me branch out and do something else. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't have any intentions of ever leaving Sacramento. I enjoy California for what it is. But to be told, if you want to excel, you have to stay here. And I'm sorry, Chicago, not the best place in the world. It's just, they call that shit Chirac. Like, technically it's Rockford. It's not really in Chicago. That shit is a stone's throw from Chicago. You think that shit don't spill in? Of course it does. It's like, it's already a bad place. And it's getting progressively worse. To the point that even she don't think it's the best place to raise kids anymore. But what are you going to do when your degree says you have to stay? You can't go. And that's just like, can you imagine Asia's going to school to be a fucking doctor? Can you imagine? It's like, well, congratulations, Dr. Harris, but you're only a doctor here. Like that, it's very limiting. And people don't get into the teaching profession for the money. They get into it for a love of teaching, and that's fine. And if she's doing something she loves, that's fine. And my heart is warm at the idea of my sister is doing something that she loves. But you look at her and you look in her eyes and you see these pictures that she sent, and you see how over summer vacation she's teaching summer school and taking summer classes and still going to Zumba classes and still ripping and running, trying to keep herself busy. She's just not happy. And it hurts my feelings. And it's just, meanwhile, here I am. I did things so non-traditionally in the way people. I remember being in my father's house, and it would be one of those impromptu interventions where it wasn't like they all sat down and they brought family over. It was just, we would find ourselves sitting in the living room and hanging out, and it would get pointed out to me that Trina's in college and maybe you should do something else. Maybe you should find a better job and try to make some more money. Maybe you should be planning ahead for such things, like what's your future look like? And then you fast forward to the future, which is today, and I'm fucking deliriously happy. Like, I don't have a lot of money, but I don't need a lot of money to be happy. Oh, fun fact, my Space Patrol Delta uniform Power Morphicon came today. I think I look nice in it. So that's me preparing for the future. That's what my future entails. That's what I'm doing now. Like, I'm preparing to go to my first and only Power Rangers convention. Like, how awesome is fucking that? But I'm not doing it. I'm not like, oh man, I gotta do this and then I'll be happy, or I'll do this to distract myself. so I can forget that I'm unhappy for a minute. None of that. None of that. I'm just doing it because it's a thing that I want to do. I'm doing it because I want to share that experience with my wife. I'm doing it because I remember watching Power Rangers in 1993 and thinking, this is good shit. And now here we are 26, 27 years later. It's still the longest running kids show in history. It's still my shit. And I'm comfortable with that. I wish that everybody had a thing that they could fall back on where they could feel comfortable and happy and, they do a thing just because it brings them joy. But not everybody I know has that. And I don't get it because I grew up in a place, in a time where I was always the last, excuse me. I was always the last. Like, you know how long it took me to get an Xbox 360? Like, that shit had been out for years before I could even approach one because they were like $400. Like, what was I gonna? I didn't have that, So I feel like if I get there, I'm the last one to get there. Everybody else should be all caught up, That's always the way I felt. Maybe that's the wrong way to think. Maybe I'm wrong for feeling that way. I don't know, but that's where I am. That's my mindset, and it just. Oh, my baby. And it hurts my heart that I have people in my life that I care about so deeply and none of them are happy. Like, Asia's pretty happy, even though she got a little hole in her little nightgown here. Hey, baby. Hey, stop doing work. I gotta stop saying that because Asia is gonna be Asia no matter what. I want my people to be happy, and my people are unhappy, and I don't know how to feel about that, But my wife is just presenting me with food. I'm gonna sit down and eat. I did not mean for this to be a 12-minute video. I just wanted to kick it with Chubble there. I wanted to show you Chubbles and the fact that I got Christmas crunch berries sitting back there. Weird. So I'm gonna go eat and finish watching YouTube videos with my wife, and then call it a night because now I'm an old man and I go to sleep early.